the story of how Christ pursued me and found me is an interesting one to me, at least. I was born in 1971 to godly parents whose desire was to train up a child in the way that he should go. My father, being a minister of the gospel, and my mother, a wonderful woman, being a dynamo Sunday school teacher, they did their best to implement godly principles and lifestyle into me at a very small age. Now, they did this so well that by the time I was 3, I thoroughly understood the gospel, and I'd opened my life to Jesus Christ, and I accepted him, understanding who he was and what he had done for me. But I think Satan was very upset that I had gotten off to such a quick and good start with the Lord, and he came in quickly, as he does. He's a liar and a deceiver, and what he did in my case, was he planted a seed that would grow for years in my life. Before I was 4 years of age, I was molested several times, and my parents didn't find out about it right away, but once they did, they thought that they had dealt with the issue, and they thought that I was so young that we'll just never mention it again, and he won't remember it either. It didn't happen that way, but for the next several years, I grew in my parents' home, realizing that I would spend the rest of my growing up years with them as a single child in a house with workaholic parents who struggled 40 hours a week to work a full-time job, plus on top of that build a church. Now, I was very involved with all of this. It got me involved with building the church, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. I remember being very close to the Lord, sensing his presence in my life as a young child. But you know, as time went on, being in an environment like this, I became very lonely inside. And by the time I got to my junior high years, I met some young kids who felt a lot like I did. They understood. And they introduced me to a couple of things that would redirect me mentally and physically. They introduced me to secular rock music with all its nonsense that would reprogram my mind from what my parents and other loved ones had so hard strived to put into me. And they also introduced me to immorality, which I remember encountering as a young child. So it wasn't new to me. But over the next several years, I developed these two different lives, stuck into one. And I would be Mr. Joe Christian in church, knowing all the answers, doing everything that I should be doing. But what people didn't know, that I could be anything and everything else when I was somewhere else. And the Lord chastened me even then. Now, this increased a lot of guilt on me. And I even, at one point, became suicidal. And the Lord, through supernatural circumstances, rescued me from that. And he revealed himself to me, but at this point I felt so guilty and so heavy laden by the wrong that I had allowed to come into my life. I didn't feel that a God, as perfect as he was, could accept me. At the age of 19, through, again, some more circumstances, my mother asked me to come into her room, and I came in, and she said, "John, this is how much wool I had pulled over their eyes." She said, "John, I want to thank you for being such a wonderfully good young man and a good role model." And she didn't know the real me, and that made me scream inside. I cried out to God. And within several weeks, she found out some things about me and was very humiliated and embarrassed. But God revealed some things to her, and I could relax then because people knew me for what I was. Now, I wasn't proud of it. I was very embarrassed. But what this did was it brought me to my knees to repentance before the Lord. And I had a choice to make. Either I could go on with God or I could go on the way that I'd been going. And I knew that fulfillment wouldn't be waiting for me at the ladder. So at the age of 19, sitting on my parents' couch, I opened my life completely to Christ. And I said, "God, I don't want you just to be my Savior of my sins. I want you to fill me with your Spirit and live through me, so that I can live out this life, this abundant life. That's what I need. That's what I want. So you can show those around me what you can do with somebody who is not going to be gray, or as James says, a double-minded man. There was no fulfillment in that. And I had been in darkness, and I needed light. A blind man can be surrounded by light, as was my situation, and yet he sees nothing. But I leave you with this reminder. Jesus Christ wants to seek you out. He wants to save you from what you're in, bring you out of that. He is the healer of blind eyes. And when he heals your eyes, you will find that he is the God of light and the Savior who will seek your precious soul. Thank you.
We just